Hey, so have you ever actually stopped to look around your city's financial district? You see these massive, gleaming, towering skyscrapers, and you've got to wonder, how exactly do banks build those? I mean, how are they consistently pulling in billions of dollars year after year and literally expanding across the entire globe? Most of us grow up with this very specific, kind of comforting image of what a bank is. We tend to think of them as these simple, super secure storage vaults, right? Like a safe place where we just park our paychecks until rent is due or we need to buy groceries. But today, in this explainer, we're going to challenge that idea completely. We are going on a journey, literally following the money, straight into the hidden financial machine operating right under our noses. So it really begs the question, where does all the bank's profit actually come from? It's a pretty fascinating mystery when you think about it. Every single day, we're talking trillions, yes, trillions with a T, of dollars moving through banking systems all over the world. People are depositing cash, taking out loans, swiping those credit cards, and transferring funds. It is just this constant, massive river of capital. But if a bank is truly just a glorified safe storage unit, how does all that movement generate such immense profit? Well, the answer is a whole lot more complex and, honestly, way more interesting than most people think. Okay, let's dive into this. The absolute core truth we need to establish right off the bat is that the money currently sitting in your checking or savings account, it's not just peacefully resting in some digital vault. Not at all. By simply keeping your cash in the bank, you are actively supplying the raw materials that help them generate even more money for themselves. We really have to just completely shatter that illusion of the static, sleepy bank vault if we want to understand how this massive global industry actually works. So, section 1, the basic banking model. Let's break it down. To truly wrap our heads around this, let's play follow the money with a hypothetical $10,000 deposit. Imagine you walk into your local branch today and you drop 10 grand into a savings account. As a sort of thank you for letting them hold your cash, the bank might pay you, say, a 2% annual interest rate. Seems pretty decent, right? But here is where the magic happens for the bank. They take that exact same $10,000 you just handed them and they turn right around and lend it to someone else. Maybe a couple buying a new house, but they charge them a 7% interest rate. And this brilliantly illustrates the absolute genius of the basic banking model. They're literally using your capital to secure a much, much higher return for themselves. That brings us to a really vital concept, something called the interest spread. Put simply, this is the mathematical difference between what a bank earns on the loans it issues and what it pays out to you and me, the depositors. So, going back to our example, the bank takes in 7%, pays out 2%, which leaves them with a neat little 5% spread. That simple difference? That is the absolute foundation of their core engine. It's the primary mechanism that takes everyday deposits and spins them into one of their biggest, most reliable sources of profit. Moving on to section 2, the debt machine. Look, if the interest spread is the engine of the bank, then loans are absolutely the fuel. Loans aren't just nice little favors the bank does for the community. Oh no. They are high-margin products that banks actively push to generate massive revenue. Just look at the sheer variety of debt products out there. You've got home loans, car loans, personal loans, business loans, student loans. Notice how the bank's lending footprint touches pretty much every single major milestone in modern life. From going off to college, to buying a car for your first job, getting a house, starting a business, at literally every step, the bank is right there, issuing a product that guarantees them a steady, ongoing stream of interest payments. And when you scale that up, the results are just staggering. We are talking billions of dollars. That's the reality of the profit generated when you have millions of customers paying interest on all these different loans every single month, like clockwork. It is this enormous, totally predictable cash flow, and it allows large banks to pull in astronomical sums annually, just from their standard run-of-the-mill lending activities. All right, section 3, the power of fees. Let's start with something almost all of us have right now in our pockets: credit cards. A lot of folks use them every day without ever realizing just how incredibly profitable they are for financial institutions. They're like high-octane accelerants for the profit engine. See, credit cards are uniquely lucrative because the interest rates on unpaid balances are way, way higher than normal secured loans. But it doesn't stop with just high interest. Banks also collect a whole menu of other charges. You've got annual fees just for the privilege of having the card, late payment fees if you miss a deadline by literally a single day, and transaction fees that they charge to the merchant every single time you swipe. Then, on top of that, we have the everyday service charges that we consumers bump into all the time. I mean, we've all been there, right? Getting slapped with a sudden ATM fee for using an out-of-network machine, or an account maintenance fee just for keeping a checking account open. add wire transfer fees, those painful overdraft fees when you accidentally spend just a little too much, and international transaction fees when you travel, it really adds up. So the crucial point is this. Individually, a $3 ATM fee or, a $30 overdraft charge might seem small, mostly just a minor annoyance, right? But remember, banks operate on a massive scale. When you aggregate these tiny, annoying nickel and dime fees across millions of customers taking millions of actions every single day, they combine into this massive, rushing stream of income. Actually, a remarkably huge portion of a bank's total revenue comes entirely from these everyday service charges. It's wild. Which brings us to Section 4, beyond traditional lending. So, modern banks have evolved way past just lending out our deposits to individuals buying homes and cars. They've established this direct, powerful pipeline to Wall Street. A lot of banks take the deposited capital they hold and dive right into the broader financial markets. They are investing heavily in government bonds, corporate bonds, stocks, you name it. They're actively putting that money to work out there in the markets to secure even more robust returns. Furthermore, banks realized a long time ago that they can generate absolutely enormous income simply by selling their financial expertise. They offer highly lucrative financial services, things like comprehensive wealth management, specialized investment advisory services, their own proprietary mutual funds, and long-term retirement planning. Customers pay incredibly handsome fees for these services, which creates yet another entirely separate massive income stream for the institution. Okay, Section 5, the fractional reserve multiplier. Now, brace yourself because I want to prepare you for the ultimate twist in our narrative about how the banking system actually functions behind closed doors. Now, what's really interesting here is a fact that genuinely shocks a lot of people. The bank doesn't actually keep every single dollar you deposit locked tightly inside a vault. No way. Under a system known as fractional reserve banking, banks are only required by law to keep a tiny fraction of deposited money on hand as reserves. The vast majority of the cash you deposit is immediately freed up and pushed right back out the door for the lending and investment activities we just talked about. Let's walk chronologically through this step-by-step process. It's often called the money multiplier, and it's like a giant puzzle. Step 1, you deposit your money, totally expecting it to just sit safely. Step 2, the bank keeps merely a fraction of that deposit in their actual reserves, just enough to cover daily withdrawal requests from folks at the ATM. Step 3, the bank takes the rest of your money and lends it right out to someone else. This whole process is fascinating because it simultaneously increases the bank's earning potential exponentially while also injecting capital back into the broader economy to drive growth. And that brings us to the big picture. Look, despite the annoying fees and their highly aggressive profit models, banks sit squarely at the absolute center of the global economy. This financial machine is what allows businesses to easily get the capital they need to expand. It's what makes widespread homeownership actually achievable for the average person. Ultimately, without banks acting as this dynamic multiplier, global economic growth would just grind to a halt. Almost every government, every corporation, and every individual depends entirely on this specific system functioning. I absolutely love this quote because it hits the nail right on the head and perfectly summarizes the core theme of this entire explainer. What looks like a simple place to store money is actually one of the most sophisticated business models ever created. It just beautifully contrasts that static, sleepy illusion of the bank vault we all grew up with against the dynamic, multi-layered reality of the global financial machine we've explored today. From those interest spreads to the credit card fees to Wall Street investments and the fractional reserves, the whole shebang is a brilliantly engineered architecture of profit. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. The very next time you walk into a bank branch or even just log on to your banking app, I want you to look at your balance and ask yourself, what is my money actually doing right now? Because as we've learned, it certainly isn't just sitting there. It is an active gear in a massive financial machine generating billions of dollars. If you enjoyed discovering the hidden reality behind everyday institutions, make sure you subscribe to our explainers. We're going to keep decoding the hidden systems, the economics, and the invisible structures that shape our entire world.